Alright, well today's project is what to do with all this wood that came off my boss's deck. He took that down, he's going to put in concrete. The decking itself was shot. We cut that up into 5-foot sections and we're going to make ourselves a bonfire that you can see from space. But the rest of this, the superstructure, was actually still pretty good wood. It's got all the metal hangers on there that are going to be kind of a problem. But what we are going to do is turn that into the righteous workbench for in the garage. And that starts out with, we're going to cut a couple of inches off of these ends. These things are about 8 feet 7 inches long. So we're going to cut these into nice 8-foot long sections so that I don't have to mess around with trying to get them deck hangers off of there. I've got a few done already. And this will harvest all the lag bolts and such off of there to hold it together. And we are going to turn that into a nice little workbench for the garage of the K9 Racer. We'll put it up underneath there, under that window that I broke. Guess I'll have to get the glass replaced. And I'll show you what it looks like when we get the grid work together. Alright, well we're losing the light, so that's going to be what we can do for today. I got exactly what I wanted. We're 12 8-footers for the top deck, sides and bottom deck, and the sides of the bottom deck. And then I cut some of these shorter ones. We'll eventually cut these into smaller pieces for the cross members for the superstructure work that we're going to put the top onto. And we'll continue on tomorrow. Alright, continuing on with this little project. I got all the pieces cut for the cross braces to go underneath the platform of the bench, and the shorter ones to go underneath the platform of the shelf below it. They're shorter for a reason. I'll show you when we get it partially assembled. Alright, well here we are with this bad boy now. Got the legs, 36-inch long legs. My son told me that's the height he liked. Here's the superstructure on top. I've just got it sitting on. I nailed these corner plates into place just so that I could stand the thing up, but it's right now it's just sitting on those so that we can push the thing over against the wall behind you there and then adjust up and down until we get it level before we actually screw the thing down into place. And then that bottom bench is going to go about 4 inches off the ground, but instead of bringing that out to the front of the 4x4s, I brought that only to the back of the 4x4 so you can step up to this bench without kicking your toe into the bottom of the shelf or busting your shin. And then off of the deck that we took apart to make all of this, I was able to harvest some of these 8-inch lag bolts. I'll put 2 of them through each end, and then, I'm sorry, bolts. And then some of these 5-inch lag bolts, I'll put one of them through the front, top and bottom. By the time we're done, this thing should be able to hold, I'm going to guess, Apollo 11, plus or minus a couple of the moon rocks, but it's definitely going to be sturdy. Alright, and here she stands, the superstructure at least. I put it into place up against that wall, leveled it, and used the air nailer to nail it into place. It's a little wobbly because it's basically just held together with nails right now, not bolts and those lag bolts. But this air nailer made this entire project a whole lot easier. If you have access to one of these, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of it. But I'm glad I did this way because there is a substantial difference between, substantial slope apparently in the concrete floor here, because by the time I got this leveled on this end, I had come up a good inch and a quarter. But she sits perfectly level in both directions, and now I got to run the lag bolts in and the big old bolts in to solid it up, and we'll push it back into place and put the decking on. Alright, I'm sort of making this part up as I go. These are 1/2 inch by 5-inch lag bolts. I drilled 5/16 holes with a spade bit, 6 inches deep into these legs to try and put these in. I'm not really sure what the actual drill size I was supposed to use was, but this appears to work as long as you've got an air tool that's strong enough to ram that in, because I put a couple of them in so far, and I mean, they've gone okay. I'm spraying some WD-40 on them to help the way, but they seem to go in. So, I'll keep you posted. Alright, here's the last step in putting the superstructure of this together. We've got 12 lag bolts holding the whole thing together now. It's already as solid as it would possibly ever need to be. But one of the things that we harvested off this deck were a dozen of these 8-inch long, 1/2-inch 13 lag bolts. So I drilled these at the top. I drilled 2 holes on each side, or in each leg at the top of this thing. We're going to go ahead and put those in. I know you're thinking it doesn't really need to be strong enough to land aircraft, but you know, the old saying is reuse, repurpose, recycle. So these things were free, so we're going to use them. And there you have it. I used the last 3 boards to put a shelf on the bottom so that all the stuff we had sitting around on the floor, we can get up off the floor and reuse this space so we get double purpose out of it. Ridiculously over-engineered workbench, but it all came out pretty good. Now we got to run some power to it, and we're good. I want to shout out to my boss, Tom Lindo, for donating what remained of his deck. And then the total cost of this bench was one little drill bit to drill these holes, like $2.39. And shout out to my daddy, wherever he is, for being able to teach me how to do this kind of thing without needing any elaborate plans. I just winged this off the top of my head. And by golly, it came out pretty good. So somewhere up there he's smiling because he at least taught me something along the way.